All right, all right. Hello, hello. We are back. We are back. We are streaming here on Thursday, December 26th, 2024. I'm still in my different setting today. We are back at my parents' house here for the holiday break. I appreciate you guys joining me here today. Let me go ahead and quickly grab a YouTube. We'll go to the link here, live stream, boom, copy this, exit out, and we'll come over here to general on the Discord, and we'll post here, I am live. Cool. All right, thanks so much for joining me here, you guys. Let's jump right on into some practice work for today. So yesterday we completed the chapter 6 on stacks, queues, and decks, where we learned about, just as that, stacks, queues, and decks. We learned about the various, inner workings of what these are. We learned, that stacks are resemble like that of like CD stacks, where it's a last in, first out method, where you can only pull from the top or the most recent addition onto the stack. We also talked about queues and how queues are similar to like lines, waiting in line for like um, a amusement park or for like a ride. How it's first in, first out. And then with decks, we talked about how what
What?
what are you doing?
It's hard to read.
Yeah, I bet.
So I'm just gonna listen to. You keep going.
All right, let's go ahead and pull up the chat here. All right, we got some people in here. Hello, hello, everybody. General Talks, welcome back. How was your Christmas? It was really great. It was really relaxing. Was just chilling and able to catch up on some, just some relaxation here. It's been good. Hey, Diane, welcome. I appreciate you coming in. Hello, hello to you, Christy. Welcome back. And then John Davila, I appreciate you coming in. Hopefully I pronounced that right. I really let me know if I pronounced that wrong. I will do my best to try to get your name right. Okay, so yesterday we learned about stacks, queues, and decks. We finished chapter 6, so we are ready to move on to some chapter 6 practice problems here for today. So we're going to do our 6.1 underscore key.py, and let's try this one. Okay, what values are returned during the following series of stack operations? So we're working in a stack. If executed upon an initially empty stack. So we have all of these operations that are taking place. So let's go ahead and do this. Let's do stack equals empty, right? And then for the first addition, we have push 5, right? So that's going to just make the stack with a value of 5. We're going to push 5 into the stack. For the next add, we're going to push 3. So that's going to add 3 into the stack here. If we go up here and keep copying this down. All right, now we're going to pop. So this is going to remove the 3. Okay, we do a pop. We do a push of 2. So we're going to add 2 to the list here. Right. We did a push of 2. We do a push of 8. We're going to add 8. We're doing a pop, 2 pops in a row. So this is going to take the 8 off. And it's going to then take the 2 off as well. Push 9, we'll push 9 onto the function here, or onto the stack. Okay, if we push 1 onto the stack, That'll look like this. Now if we pop, that'll take the 1 off. If we push 7, push 6, so this will push 7 on. This will push 6 on. If we do 2 pops, that'll take 7 and 6 off. Starting with 6. Next would be 7. And then we call it a pop or a push on 4. Right? And then we call 2 pops, leaving 5. Like so. All right. Hey, Wing Ong, thanks for coming in. It's great to hear from you guys. There's a name in here I'm having really trouble pronouncing. It starts with the K and KSH. If you could help me with your pronunciation for your name, that'd be great. I really appreciate it. So, John Davila says that he asks if stacks are different from arrays. And so we learned that a stack was, a type of array in a way. I think that arrays are just determined as, consecutive values within the memory of the computer, or consecutive storage of values in memory, right? Is the technical definition for maybe like an array. Um, so this would technically be like types of arrays, right? Where a stack, follows that last in, first out method, where we will remove most recently added items. Oh, right. Apparently, I have the same book as him. I was reading this about an hour earlier. Oh, awesome. Yeah, this is the great place to be. I've been reading this book live every day to the channel, to the chat here, and to the channel, and working through the practice problems. So yesterday we completed the remaining bits of chapter 6, and we're working on the reinforcement problems here at the end of chapter 6. So I appreciate you joining me. It's pronounced Zites. 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 Is that right? Yeah, so this is data structures and algorithms in Python that we're working on right now. If you guys want access to this book, you can either look it up online, or I provide a Discord linked below where I have all of my study resources that I'm doing live on the stream, all my notes, all of my additional information, as well as, setting up some like groups for like studying, and for different events for when we can do some watch parties for the Harvard CS50 courses and things like that. So, um, uh, you know, feel free to join the Discord down below to also, chat offline and get access to all that stuff. So I appreciate you guys joining me today. Awesome. I'm so glad you guys are here. We got 18 people watching the stream right now. So really, really awesome. Right. Um, Zeta, I was close. Oh, okay. Well, please tell me how I can do better with that. I'll call you. Is it okay if I call you, Zai for the time being? Yeah. So it's mainly I'll be setting up like for the watch party, and the Discord mainly refers to like I'll be setting up like a time that we all like for a specific stream, and we'll be going live for this day, and for regarding the CS50 courses we're gonna take for that new one that comes out in 2025. Okay, so let's see here. We push 5 onto the stack. So we push 5 for line 7. We push 3 for line 8. We pop for line 9. We push 2 for line 10. We push 8. Okay, hold on. So we push 3, we pop. Okay, we push 2. We push 8. Like that. 8 gets pushed. We pop twice. So that gets popped. That gets popped. That gets removed. We push 9. We push 1. We pop 1. We push 7. Oh, hold on. Let's make sure we're doing this right. We push 5. We push 3. We pop 3 off. We push 2. We push 8. We pop 8. We pop 2. We push 9. We push 1. We pop 1. We push 7 here. We push 6. We pop 6. We pop 7 here. So where were we? We push 9, push 1, pop 1, push 7, push 6, pop 6, pop 7, push 4, pop 4, pop the 9. Like that. I think that is how it is. Awesome. So remember, this is the last in, first out. So things that are being added are the first things to be popped, as where I'm highlighting here, right? Cool, I think that is the answer. Let's go through this one more time, right? We push 5, boom. We push 3, boom. We pop 3, boom. We push 2, boom. We push 8, we pop 8. We pop 2, we're left with 5. We push 9, we push 1. We pop 1. We push 7, we push 6. We pop 6, we pop 7. We push 4, we pop, and we're left with 5. Awesome. Any questions on this one, you guys? Can you close that? Can you close that vent? It's hot. Can you close that vent?
I don't know how.
This is a lever. It's just hot in here.
It feels good. I don't know how to do that.
Just slide the little delete dial. Never mind. Put it back. It's making a whistle. Okay. Forgot what top does. Yeah, so the top function is just with Python it would be a reference of stack at index level -1. So this would equal the stack.top method. So the top method is within like the stack collections class within Python. But if we're just using a simple array to mimic a stack or a simple list to mimic a stack, we would call stack at -1 index to access a reference to the topmost value. Now, the key is that the topmost value is not removed from the stack. Yes, it shows the last element without removal. Exactly. Right. Let's go up to our notes on stacks. We have stack top returns a reference to the top element of the stack S without removing it from the stack. An error occurs if the stack is empty. So in Python, it's stack at index -1. All right, let's move on. R6.2 underscore key.py. All right, let's take this guy and let's bring it over. Suppose an initially empty stack S has executed a total of 25 push operations, 12 top operations, and 10 pop operations, 3 of which raised empty errors that were caught and ignored. What is the current size of S? Okay, so let's do this. Let's go through this one by one. So S is going to equal, let's say, or we'll say length of S is equal to 25. We added 25 push operations, which we added 25 elements to this list. We did called 12 top operations and 10 pop operations. Suppose an initially empty stack S has executed a total of 25 pushes, 12 tops, and 10 pops, 3 of which raised empty errors that were caught and ignored. So 3 of the pop operations were called when the list was empty. Okay, so we called 3 pops out of our 12, out of our 10, so that means we only removed 7 items. 3 out of 10 pops were unsuccessful, right? So this then infers that 7 s.pop methods were successful, right? So if we removed only 7 items, this would be minus 7 would give us length of S is equal to, what is that, 18? So caught up on the chat here. Hey, Troy Miller, how's it going? I appreciate you coming in. That's a new name I haven't read before in the chat. I appreciate you stopping in and following along and finding the channel. Welcome, welcome. What data structure are you learning right now? Stacks. Yeah, exactly. So we just completed chapter 6, which went over stacks, queues, and decks. And so we're just going over the chapter 6 reinforcement problems that we didn't get to yesterday. So for those that are new, let's give a quick intro. My name is Michael. I have a Bachelor of Science in Human Biology and a minor in Chemistry. I work as a formulation chemist for a biotech company for the past 3 years. I'm currently a scientist 2 or a mid-level scientist. And I've been teaching myself Python for the past 6 months to really gain additional skills in my field and maybe look to transition into other fields and or just or in general just further improve on myself as in my education and my academic career. And it's always good to keep learning even outside of school and keep developing skills. And so I've been doing this. I started back 6 months ago with Harvard CS50P, where I completed that over the course of this past summer in 2024. And then in September, I started this channel where I've really been dedicated to streaming, and I caught a fire for this, and it's really been a great opportunity and to learn and to have this stream to interact with you guys, gain camaraderie, network with you guys. The whole point of this is a video series, a journal series for my reference as well, to go back and see that I'm improving and that this is really working. It's kind of more of a like a ground zero approach. A lot of when I was looking for resources online, a lot of the tutors or the people that were teaching you this stuff were people that were really advanced and that were already graduated. And I wanted to look for a perspective of someone that was grinding through this from ground zero all the way to hero, right? From nothing to something. And so I decided to make the channel and try to convey that. So if this is something that you guys are interested in and are also maybe in a similar situation, follow along. Join the Discord down below where I have all my study resources, and we're going to do schedule events for when we're going to do watch-alongs for the Harvard CS50 courses, the new X course that's coming out for their full stack CS course in 2025. And so it's going to be really great. Yeah. Thanks so much for coming in, Troy. I appreciate you being here. Muna says, what laptop do I have? Yeah, I use a 14-inch MacBook Pro M3 Pro is the laptop I have. I did opt for the upgraded RAM from 18 to 36 gigabytes just for my streaming and for my multiple projects going on and all that, and tabs and things like that. So I did upgrade the RAM to the next slot package, but I have a M3 Pro MacBook Pro, the 14-inch. Kushagar Kumar, do you know any Java? I currently do not know any Java. The only languages I know a pretty good, I'm pretty good at and a fair understanding of Python. That's what I've been mainly focusing on these past 6 months. I kind of have a theory that I feel like recent, CS students or independent learners in CS, the current trend is to try to accumulate as many languages as possible. And I could use this analogy of like Pokemon gym badges, right? But in my experience, it really seems like these candidates or these students don't actually know these languages to their core. They know of them, they know how to reference them, but they actually can't write in each one of them, fluently. So I'm kind of taking a different approach and trying to really master a language first, figure out all the ins and outs of it, all of the, you know, part modules, all of the functions, all the keywords. I'm really trying to just gain a mastery in a single language, Python for that matter, before I really expand outwards and take other languages seriously because I think that having a really, really solid mastery and expertise in one language would exponentially cause me to, learn those other ones even faster and become fluent in them. So that is my kind of scientific hypothesis regarding this. Trying to kind of go against the grain about the typical way people are trying to accumulate as much languages as they can, but really are they actually fluent in them? I don't know. So I'm trying to put that to the test here. Wing Hong, what kind of chemicals do you work with? Yeah, so I'm a biological chemist. I have a degree in human biology and chemistry, and so I really focus with a lot of more biological materials. I work with a lot of human and animal or mammalian sourced materials, blood, urine, plasma, spinal fluids. Um, I work with a lot of serum that's sourced from like cattle and things like that. So a lot of just biological mammalian things to help mimic that human like testing in the lab. Um, do you find being a scientist fulfilling? I have a second thoughts on what I want to pursue in college, and I'm exploring different majors. Yeah, I do find it fulfilling. I do think that the biotech industry does lack in the growth aspect of careers. I envy the tech community and their willingness to propel people forward in their career and really support them. It seems the biotech company is a little bit dated, or the biotech industry in regards to that. It's very much work your way to try to become maybe middle management, and that's kind of where the buck kind of stops unless you want to move on into more business admin stuff and get into director positions. And but once you get into those, you really stop using science on a daily basis and it becomes more about business and people. So that there is some difficulty with biotech is that the growth and the structure for career paths is not as streamlined and as you know um, I'm not going to say easy, but there's just not a super amount of opportunity to continue that growth. And like tech, you have like upwards of 10 to 15 different positions that you can level up in, or continue to gain raises and experiences and responsibilities up until you're at that senior level. Where with biotech, it's mainly like more like three steps and then you're there. So it's more spread out and it's a little bit slower process. So there is that kind of aspect of it. But the actual science and everything, I'm on a daily basis. I'm physically weighing out, measuring chemicals, combining them, doing chemical reactions. So that part is very cool, and makes the time go by really, really greatly. Uh, that's Deal. Welcome. I appreciate you coming in. How are you doing today? Welcome, welcome. Christy, do you ever plan to get a job within the CS field, or is this just a side hobby you want to continue? Yeah, Christy, I'm really trying to just kind of remove the pressure aspect of it. If something comes up in the future through some sort of networking, through this channel, or through, you know, whatever it be, I'm mainly using this channel because you never know who could pop in at what position and like what I'm doing, or, can see that I can prove that I'm coding and solving these problems and understanding them that might, set me apart from maybe like a CS student that doesn't have that experience or doesn't have something that can actually show. So this stream is really documenting my entire journey and progress and can physically show as a factual representation that I am learning this material and then applying it. So if something comes along the line through some resource or some opportunities, I would definitely not, turn my nose up at them. I'm open to anything. But yeah, for now, I like to just kind of think about it as a hobby just to help remove that stress aspect and keep it more about this is supposed to be fun. This is supposed to be something I want to do. This is not supposed to be something that I need to do to get a job. This is something I'm doing because I want to improve myself. Um, I'm trying to be a scientist, but I can't find next job. Yeah, it's tough out there right now for sure. Yeah, it's definitely biotech is under that same situation where jobs are pretty scarce right now, so it's difficult. It's just kind of the market right now. Do you plan to make an app with your Python skills and become like a millionaire? I don't know. I just whatever we're making, some applications right now. We're working on the small business manager on the back half of our streams where we write a live project and incorporate that. So, if any of these projects ever become, financially relevant, then that's cool, but it's not all about that at the end of the day. I think if you're trying to seek money out of this, at the end of the day, you're probably going to burn out and won't enjoy it. It's got to be something that you really are passionate about. Muna says, I was watching a chemistry lecture series that really got me interested in learning chem in pharmaceuticals as a whole. I'm also interested in math, though. I hate having to pick one math. Yeah, I would really, in chemistry, you can go pretty far with math and get into like P-chem and things like that. So uh, I never got that far. That's where you become like an actual chem major into like doctorate chemistry and things like that. Hey, Leanne, welcome in. I appreciate you stopping by and leaving a message. It's awesome to hear from you. I'm a major in math slash CS. That kind of blocks me from working in pharma and a chemist role, or maybe going to med school. Majoring in something like chem would make it harder to go into tech. It's already hard. Yeah, it's just difficult, those decisions you got to make. But, it also think about it like this is that, currently people with CS degrees are having hard times finding jobs and they actually have degrees in it. So is it really that different from someone with a chemistry degree that knows how to code? And they can prove that they can with maybe projects or examples. So I don't if the you might not be at a disadvantage if current CS majors are also having trouble, right? It seems like they might be looking for more um, experienced candidates. So if you can provide like uh, actual real world application and projects and things like that, they might prefer it maybe. I feel like if you truly enjoy something, you'll succeed in it. Yeah, definitely. You have to for sure enjoy it. All right, let's continue with this question here. So for this stack, we executed a total of 25 push operations, which means we overall added 25 items to our stack. But we did 12 topper operations, which is just a reference to the most top level items. So that actually doesn't remove or cause any sort of length decrement or increment from our stack. But we have three operations out of 10 for pop that ran in a zero, an error, an empty error. So we only had seven successful pop operations out of the 10, meaning that seven items were removed out of our 25 that were added, leaving us with 18 of a length. So I'm going to copy this over. Let's put it into here. I think the length of the stack is 18. Let's analyze the problem step by step to determine if the current size of the stack. Push operations. Each push operation adds one element to the stack. Total operations is 25. There are 25 elements. Each pop operation removes one element from the stack. However, three of the pop operations raised an empty error because the stack was already empty at that point. These operations did not remove any therefore 7 elements. The top operation simply does a view. All right, cool. 18. We were correct. Woohoo! Nice, nice, nice. Super cool. I appreciate you guys joining me today. Feel free to join the Discord link below for these study resources. We're reading data structures and algorithms in Python. We're at the end of chapter 6, learning about stacks, decks, and queues. We are doing some practice problems to help reinforce that reading that we finished up yesterday in the stream. If you want to see that reading, go watch the past couple of streams where we finished up chapter 6. R6.3 underscore keyed up high. All right, we're going to move on to this one. All right, let's get caught up on some chats here, you guys. Let me take off my, bonked my girlfriend in the head. Take off my flannel here. All right, we have a chat here. Wing Hong says, Muna, in physics, we only use arrays and never worry about time complexity nor space complexities. All the Wall Street jobs I've seen that want LeetCode Python for interviews. Muna says, I'm considering double majoring. Depending on what research or school I go to, it may be more trouble than it's worth. I've researched and I could still go to med school, and I majored in math. I just need some prereqs. I actually have a cousin right now who's in med school, and he is really feeling the heat of med school, that's for sure. It's really grueling. Christy says, what made you pick Python as a starting language? Yeah, so similar to my my methods before about how I found these books to read, and how I kind of deduced what books I wanted to read, and I just kind of browsed some Reddit forums on learn programming and just kind of took in a general consensus, and it seems like everyone was kind of saying Python was a great place to start, just because of the simplicity of the syntax, and yeah, so that's really it. All right, let's go ahead and continue on here. So 6.3. All right, so we need to wrap this, and we'll say, okay, implement a function with signature transfer S and T. That transfers all items from stack S onto stack T, so that the elements that start at the top of stack S start at the top of S and the first to be inserted onto T, and the element at the bottom of S ends up at the top of T. So we're just trying to flip the order of the stack. So if we're wanting to flip the order of the stack, we would need to unfold it using a separate stack as well. So we need def transfer S and T. Transfers all elements from stack S onto stack T, so that the elements that start at the top of S are the first to be inserted. So we need to pop items off of S and append them onto T, pretty much. So we'll say for value when we need to start at the so for value no, so we need to say for blank in stack in S, we'll do stack.pop. So that'll pop each one, capture it in a variable where we'll say removed value. And then we need to take the tstack.append removed value, right? For every removed value. So it'll start popping off every item in the stack. But will this start looping? Because I'm not referencing that for blank, I'm only referencing the stack, so it'll start the pop at the end, I believe, rather than through the iteration at the start. Man, welcome. I appreciate you coming in. Hi, I'm new here. Can you please introduce yourself and explain what you're doing and maybe why Python? Are you new to coding? Yeah. I'm sorry for those that hear me say this over and over again, but really quickly, my name's Michael. I'm 25, almost 26. I graduated back in 2021 with a degree in human biology and a minor in chemistry, and I work as a formulation chemist. I'm a scientist too right now, a mid-level scientist for a biotech company, and I make a lot of biological controls used in patient diagnostics in like hospitals and clinical settings, things that they run their samples against to verify validity of the sample, and things along those lines. And so I've been teaching myself Python for the past like 6 months just to continue developing skills in other fields, in my own current field, and see where it takes me. Just push myself in my own education and improve. I appreciate you for joining. Thank you so much. Yeah, I started about 6 months ago. All right, let's continue here. So let's go ahead and do a sample here. So if we have some stack S, which has an array of values 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Now, if we have some stack T, we'll say S1, just to keep it differentiated from our function, right? T1 is equal to some empty stack, right? Some empty stack. So now if we call a print, and we're going to, at the end of this, return T, right? Print the transfer function with inputs S1 and T1, right? Now if we run this, what do we get? 5, 4, 3. What happened here? What happened? Move this to the bottom here. Oop. So we get 5, 4, 3. So why are we not looping all the way through? And we're also printing. So we are, for every blank in the string in the stack, we're going to remove value by a pop, and we're going to append the removed value to T, and we're going to return T. So why are we only getting 3 values out of our list instead of all 5? Hey, Tanmay, welcome in. It's really great to hear from you. I hope you're doing well. It's really awesome to hear from you. Thank you for stopping in this evening. Muna says, Michael, what's the difference between an entry level and a mid level scientist? Yeah, so the main differences between an entry level and a mid level for my current field, in my more specific field, is that the entry level is more of a junior chemist and kind of not really follows orders, but kind of just follows directions by those mid to senior level chemists who have experience building these products. So their main job is to learn the ins and outs of the system, take in that experience, and then eventually, as they get comfortable, start to lead on their own products. And then the scientists twos at my current environment are just mainly the strict leaders of products. They develop them, and then from beyond there, the scientist threes they more work on like the formal documentation, maybe like variances if you have to use different materials or find different sources for materials. And then when you get into like the staff scientist realm, those people work heavily with the actual like the purchasing, the sales department with the products. they're kind of like the middlemen between the business people and the sales to kind of convey that these are the scientific things needed to uh, get the product into the hands of the customer and things like that, and solve those more complex documentation things and planning and stuff like that. But it's really not super defined. It's a lot of gray area, and you can find yourself doing things of senior levels and use that to your advantage for maybe promotions and things like that. Um, Mayon says, so basically you plan to learn Python and move on to machine learning stuff in your field. Yeah, maybe eventually. So we actually have a book back home on my desk. I like to show off the books that we're reading right now. We're doing DSA in Python. Before this, we read Python Crash Course live on the channel, the entire part one of the book. And then eventually I do have a book that we're going to read called Python Machine Learning when we get through this book here, where we'll start to dive into those more challenging topics. So follow along if that's something that you're wanting to see eventually, because we are going to get there day by day, little by little. What's the difference between a stack and a list slash array? So the difference between a stack and so the list and array are different in the sense that I think the now again, I'm learning this myself, you guys, so take this with a grain of salt, but I think the main differences with lists and arrays are that like that continuous form of memory, like lists don't really take into account that memory allocation portion that I think arrays do. Now, if anyone else has some other definition, please provide. So why are we only getting the 3 values in our loop here? Why are we not continually popping every single value off? It's really hot in here. I need to turn down the heat.
Where are you going?
All right. Probably doesn't help that I have this beanie on. Ronaldo Para, I believe this problem can be done using the function while is not empty. Okay. Is not empty. So we'll say like while. Oh, let's try this. So rather than looping for, we'll say while s, right? While we have values in s, or while the length of s is greater than 0, right? While we have values in, we want to call s.pop on those values, and then we will Control C, copy this, and just paste this into here directly, like so. So now what we're doing is we're going to append every pop while the length of the s is greater than 0. So now we do this, we get all of our values. So why before? That's interesting. Why were we not getting values before? Anyone have any idea? I'm not Wing Hong. I'm not an expert, but you have a physics background. It's probably better for an analysis trader / researcher role than a quant dev position. List in Python is a version of array, but main difference is list can have any type value, but array has specific ones like int stir. Oh, okay. So let's go back to our chapter 5 notes here on this. So we learned that low-level arrays, right? Low-level arrays are fixed in size. The size of the list is typically defined. They're contiguous in memory. They're homogeneous for all elements. So the main difference between arrays and lists is that arrays, all of the elements are of the same data type, and that we have memory allocation in arrays, and then we have efficient access, right? Yeah. All right. Let's keep moving on here. So, does anyone have any ideas um, why we weren't getting the values before in that for loop? It seems strange why that wasn't working. I feel like it should have, but I need something to prop up my phone here. There we go. Okay. Because you pop the elements while in loop, use while, not is empty. Okay, yeah, you're saying use the while is not empty, which is the same thing as basically length of s is greater than 0. Yeah, so we could also say while s, I think, too, right? While we have data values in s, we don't even need to take a length of s, just like Eddie Ramirez said, right? So if we do this, this should give us the same output. Exactly. Boom. So we can say while s, we know that the while s gives us a Boolean return saying, okay, are they data values within Python of saying while s? While there's values in s, okay, then do the following. Well, if there's not, then we can't, okay? Yeah. All right. Michael Demi, have you considered smaller rules for? Okay, you guys. Also, a list isn't contiguous it's an array of memory location to the values. Ah, yeah. So the array has a contiguous memory allocation, whereas a list is just a reference to those individual values in the memory somewhere. You change the size of the stack while in loop. Okay. Okay. Let's continue on here. R6.4 key.py. All right. Let's go ahead and throw this in the yippity to make sure that it likes our answer here. In the almighty orb. Speak to me, magic conch. All right, your implementation of the transfer function is correct. It transfers all the elements from stack S to stack T such that the top S becomes the first element. Perfect. Sweet, it liked our answer. That's always good. All right, let's keep moving here. Uh, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, but when you pop it, meets at middle. Okay. All right, let's keep on moving here. We are really cruising through these problems, you guys. We're doing good here. Thank you for all your help, helping me out with these ones, and for all your guys' insight. I really appreciate you guys joining me here tonight and studying with me. If there's something that you're interested in and are enjoying, please follow along. Maybe throw the stream a like so we can try to get some other people flowing in here and keep growing the channel. It's been growing really rapidly, and it's been super awesome seeing all the positive feedback we've been getting. So yeah, maybe throw it a like and follow along if you're interested. Okay. Oh boy. No. Not a recursion method. Oh my gosh. No. No. Why? Give a recursive method for moving all the elements from a stack. Ugh. All right, we're having flashbacks to chapter 4 here, guys. Oh boy. Okay, so we need to def remove uh, del stack, maybe we'll say that. And we're going to take in some stack here of stack S. Okay, so what we need to do is we need to have a base case. So if the length of the stack is equal to, what would it be? If the length is empty or 1, we want to return the last value. So 1, we're going to return if the length is 1, we have met our base case, meaning that no, so we want to be at 0. We want to return. No, if it's 1, we want to return s dot. No, we don't want to return. If it's 1, we're going to return the remaining value here, right? Else, we're going to call a pop. What book or PDF are you using for practice, Ronaldo Para? Yeah, so this is data structures and algorithms in Python that we're working on. We're on chapter 6. We've been reading aloud all the chapters, every word, line by line, aloud to the stream, really learning all this information, really taking it all in as best as we can. I have a copy of this PDF in my Discord link below where I have compiled all of my study resources, or you can just look it up online as well. How about having a base case for when we are trying to pop from an empty stack first? Okay, so how about a base case for when we are trying to pop from an empty stack first? Technical data, hey, what's up? How's it going? It's so great to hear from you. How you doing? Welcome in. Is there a book like this for C++? I'm not sure. Maybe if someone else knows in the chat. I only have experience personally with Python at the moment. But I'm sure there are some other resources for those. Does anybody in the chat have any experience with C++ and DSA? So if the length of the stack becomes, we return this value. So else we need to continue moving through the stack and slicing from S at index 1 over, right? We'll continue moving the stack forward to the next element in order to do that. So if we return the last value here, which will be filled in for this, what do we need to do? We need to dot pop this value, right? So now if we have some stack, above of stack 1 is equal to an array of characters of 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. If we call del stack on a slice from 1 forward, index 1 forward, and pop that return value in our base case, we're going to pop every value from here. But pop will remove the last value. So do we do dot remove? Is that a method again? I can't remember. Dot remove is a method in Python to use to remove the first occurrence of the specified value from a list, unlike pop, which removes an element by index or the last element, which is if no index is specified. Dot remove searches for a value in the list and deletes it. So it would be the first instance. So it wouldn't work if we had duplicates, which is a thing. So what happens if I call a print? Obviously, actually, we need to return here. We need to call a print on the del stack for s underscore 1. And what happens if we do this? We get object has no attribute pop. Okay, so this is because we're returning that single value. So we need to do we call the pop function here and then call stack at index 1 through pop the return value of the del stack like so? No, that wouldn't work either. Pop index out of range. So what if we just do s pop del stack 1 through? Pop index out of range. Hint, return when stack is empty. Okay, so we'll try that now. Yeah, so if you're following along, I try not to look at code. I try to solve these by myself as best as I can. If I need help from GPT, I will preference to not show code and then do whatever. I really like to try to solve these like on my own and then ask you guys for help as well. Um, but I like to, if you just show in the code, it doesn't really do much for me. Because I really like to learn it. So if we want to return when length is equal to 0, so if not s, right, we're going to return, could you say like this, if not s, like this? No. If not s, we're going to return the empty array. Else we're going to continue, okay, we're just going to continue the sequence down and do this. And so once we get to the end, we're going to return an empty stack. But yeah, so now we return the empty list. Boom. Cool. So I think that is the solution, right? What do you guys think? Yes, thank you, Mayhan. I really appreciate you. That's exactly it. Mayaz Anam, do you work as a software engineer right now? No, I currently am a scientist, a physical scientist. I have a degree in human biology and a minor in chemistry. I graduated back in 2021, and I work as a formulation chemist for a biotech company. And I'm using Python as just a resource to further my education, gain additional skills, maybe incorporate them into my work, maybe transition into other fields, whatever comes up, I will, approach with an open mind. Um, can you call sequence.pop once and then just call the function again? Um, return nothing. Oh, so you're saying this is cheating by returning just an empty array? So you want me to return none here? And so none gets returned for this value. Well, what do we want it to do to it? We want to hmm or return s. So if we return s, which is just the empty sequence, so that'll just give us the empty sequence again. So why is that any different than just returning an empty list? If you return s, I guess it means like you're returning the empty uh, stack or whatever, physically, like directly returning the empty stack s, right? Oh, if you return an empty array, you're creating a new array in memory where a stack was already saved in memory. Is that what you're referring to, Mahan? So if we return the stack, right, that's empty, it's returning the empty stack, not a new array or list that's we have to then create in memory location. Wow, we got 26 people in here. I really appreciate you guys for joining me. Thank you so much for wanting to study along with me. Please follow along to the channel. I stream almost every day, or have been for the past like 3 weeks. I have a streak going, so I'm going to keep that going as long as I can. I have some vacations in a few months that might ruin the streak, but we'll worry about that at a later time. But I've been streaming really dedicated to learning and teaching myself. I teach myself completely independently. I'm not in school. I'm reading out of the textbook, just raw repetition, trial and error. Just really doing my best to grind through this in my own sort of drive. And so, yeah, if that's something that interests you guys, please follow along. And I appreciate you guys joining me here. So let's go ahead and take this value and let's go ahead and copy it into the. No, not like that. Let's go ahead and copy it into the almighty orb and see what he has to say about it. We'll say don't show code. The remove method. Oh, no. So we'll say here is my answer to this question. How did I do? Do not show code. All right. Your approach to solving this problem is on the right track, but there's a small issue with how you're handling the stack. Well, the recursive function removes elements from the stack and stops when it's empty. It creates a new stack s at index value 1 forward on each recursive call rather than modifying the original stack in place. This approach technically works but is not ideal if the goal is to modify the stack directly. A better approach would involve removing elements from the stack one at a time with the pop during each recursive call. This would ensure that the stack is emptied in place. Okay, so then we can, instead of doing this, we'll just return del stack s with a pop. So we'll pop each one off, right? Int object no attribute pop. So this returns the stack. If we do a pop here on this, what do we get? So we get a recursion error. So it's hmm hmm. Um Stack doesn't have slicing, you only have pop. This is using a list, not a stack. Yeah, so we need to use the pop here for this method. So we need to, at each recursive call, we're going to else we're going to call a s.pop on this and return um, we need to obviously return so this will remove the last element and then return this. Just do we need to return this? Just return the list? Oh yeah, let's return s pop. So now this should work. Boom. Okay, this gives us only one value now. So if not s, return s. So if length of s is equal to 0, return s. No, that still gives us 5. return del stack at S, right? So if I return just the del stack, I'm not decrementing it anywhere though. So if I return, I need to return the call of the function somewhere. So we need to do s dot pop here, and then just return del stack of s. So now that should give us the empty array. Boom. Woo! I think that's the answer. What do you guys think? I'll get caught up on the chat here. You guys probably are way ahead of me. spop won't return anything, that's why it can't be used. Okay. If you do the pop after the del stack, it would go infinitely. Uh, DSA and C++ by Michael T. Goodrich, or DSA Design Principles by John Carey Hurd is good. Yeah, Michael Goodrich, I believe, is the author of this book here that I'm reading, Data Structures and Algorithms. It's by 3 authors, and I believe Michael Goodrich is one of them. So if he has a C++ book, that would probably convey a lot of the similar materials that I'm learning now. So that's a great way to start, I think, right? Just return del stock S after doing something to S. Yes, exactly. Yeah, you were way ahead of me, Wing Hong. Thanks so much. Yeah, like I said, you guys are probably ahead of me here. Um, I'm still looking for C++ books as I'm trying to learn myself. Uh, Varavastav said, "Hey, Varavastav, thanks so much for coming in. That's a new name I haven't heard in the chat before. I appreciate you stopping by and leaving a message today. It's so awesome to hear from you. Where's the recursive call? Yeah, I wasn't using it in my last, attempt at this. I realized I needed to, return the call of the actual call again. So exactly. Yeah, so we don't need the else statement like Mahan says here. We can just return because by default the else statements will take into a place without being it directly infers that this will happen if this cannot happen, meaning like an else statement directly can be inferred just without having directly stated. So same thing applies here. Boom. Yeah, exactly, Mahan. Yeah, I got that. Just need different loop, like while length s is not 0. Um, so I need to change. I can't. The if statement here, it would be better to use a while. I thought while length we're gonna do the pop. If we would do the while, we would say while length s is greater than 1 or greater than 0, we're going to do the pop and return the stack. Else, we're going to return s, right? That would be the way you would do it with a while loop. You would have to invert these two statements. You would say while length of s is greater than 0, perform the pop, perform the return, else return just the stack, right? Yeah, the book you have right now is by Michael T. Goodrich. OAs are also different by company. Tinder asked me a grid question when Sig asked me a tree question. Oh, interesting. Yeah, so it seems like we've got some people experienced in interviews and stuff, which is great. Thanks so much for joining and providing some input, you guys. You guys are great. Feel free to join the Discord link below where I have all my resources and more of a community focused environment of where we're sharing stuff and we can all communicate offline and everything too. So let's take this guy and put it into our almighty orb and say, okay, I revised it to call the pop. All right, we'll see what it says here. Come on. Your revised solution is now on point. By using the dot pop within the recursive function, you're directly modifying the original stack in place, which is exactly what's needed for this problem. The base case, why it works, output. Cool. So this does work. All right, that was problem 4. Let's go ahead and do one more problem here. Let's do R 6.5. Oop, underscore keyed up high. That font is so small on the left side, I can barely see it. Yeah, so I'm at my folks' house on visiting them for the holidays here. So I'm not at my normal desk setup where I have my monitors and stuff. So bear with me here for the next few days, you guys. I still wanted to come on stream and do some studying with you guys and keep the streak alive. So I appreciate you guys bearing with me here and being patient with the little bit of a different format on these streams. I started Neat Code 150 today. Oh, awesome. I wonder, would it be maybe beneficial if we also provided maybe like a Leet Code or Neat Code section in the Discord if we ever decide to get there? Maybe we could have more of a collaborative environment for those categories as well. Mahan says, I want to add one more thing. You can completely ignore returns and only return when you are done with popping. So you can, I'm not exactly sure what you mean by that. You can completely, you can completely ignore returns and only return when you are done with popping. Wing Hong, I think, likes the idea of the leet code or a neat code section in the Discord. All right. What do you mean, Mahan, by Aiden Seals? Thanks so much for coming in. You left a nice message. You said, seeing you stream every day has been motivating to keep me learning each day. Enjoy your streams. Keep it up. Oh, that's awesome. That's exactly what this is. I'm trying to, motivate you guys. If I'm streaming, then, I'm finding the time and maybe you guys can as well. But also, if you want to just pop into the stream and maybe refresh your memory on what I'm learning and everything, that's great as well. And I appreciate that this is helping you. And thank you so much for joining and leaving a message. That's awesome, Aiden. If length dot 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 return s dot call function without the return. So you don't return here. You just call Adele. I thought you have to return a value here because you get none. Am I? Oh, you guys are so nice. I'm so glad you guys are enjoying the stream, and this is really working out how I intended. I really wanted this to be an environment where people, felt, super inclined to join and want to, further project themselves forward in their own career and their own education. I often feel like college is they're just trying to set you up to get jobs where really the education is supposed to be an improvement upon yourself. You're working on yourself. Just as you're going to the gym and lifting weights, you're lifting like mental weights by doing all these exercises, and it's really no different. And you're getting smarter, and really that is a privilege that we have here with these resources, and we need to take advantage of them. Because in the past, like where else in the past 50 years could you look up online these textbooks and just immediately have all this information accessible to you? So I really think that people are take advantage of what we've been given today, and we really need to refocus ourselves to what we have, the opportunities here in front of us. Yeah, exactly, Wenhong. That's exactly what I was thinking. Where if we were going to use a while loop here, we'd have to invert these statements and say while the length of s is greater than 0, we're going to do the pop and then do the return stack. Else, we're going to return s. Um, right. Return. No, you're just working on a stack. You don't need to print the function. Just print s. Oh, so I don't need to print here. No, I do need to print here because I'm returning a list and I have to display that to the screen. I'm sorry if I'm not following what you're saying. I'm sorry if this is getting frustrating. Jose Alvarado, I'm learning data structures in this moment. Very good by me because your channel is a good resource. Awesome. That's so glad. I'm glad you guys are so nice. You guys are being so kind. Thank you so much, Jose, for leaving a message. Oh, print LS1. If I call print on S1, that's just going to do this, right? Yeah, I have to call the function del stack, no? Right? Hmm. I'll see what you have to say about that. Okay, let's keep moving here. Let's do one more before we kind of wrap it up for this evening. Again, guys, I do normally stream. This is a rare circumstance. I'm out of my normal element. I'm at my parents' house visiting them for the holidays. I'm still streaming, though, to keep the streak alive. In my normal settings, I stream from anywhere about 2.5 to 3.5 hours every day. But just on these holiday break where I'm a little bit bound by my stuff, and I also am trying to spend time with my family here while I'm seeing them. I'm only doing about an hour and a half during these next couple of days. Del stack S1 and then print S1. Well, why would I need to have two lines of code to do the same thing? I can call del stack on S1, right? And then I can call the print on S1, right? Oh, because you're wanting me to show that this is permanently overwriting S1. Yeah, okay, that's what you're wanting to show me, is that by calling del stack S1, it permanently overrides in our system's memory this variable of S1, right? Without actually, showing it anywhere in here. So that's what's happening on the back end in the memory aspect of the stack. And that's how that array is handled. So that's kind of like a actual example that we're seeing here by breaking up these calls is that the del stack is directly affecting the S1. And so if we recall the print on S1, it overrides this with this, at this point in memory. Um, because when you pop, it should mutate the S1. Yeah, it does. It shows that it's being directly changed in memory at this statement here. I'm just calling print because I'm returning the stacks, right? I need to print the stacks to the screen to show that they're there. Because your method shouldn't return anything, so delete return in line 10. See, if I delete return in line 10, I get the lit. Okay. So if I call so that does give me back the array. And if I wrap this print here as so, that gives me none. So by just calling del stack 1 in memory, that does nothing. But why when I print then, why when I call a singular print function here, do I get the value? Because it's being overridden here and then I'm printing it here. But I'm not returning anything to this function. It's just saving it in memory. So nothing is being saved here. If I were to save a value here as like a test variable and then print the test, we get none, right? There's nothing being returned here. We're just modifying the original stack in place. So if I comment out this print S1 and print just the test, we get none exactly. So Unless I physically put a return here, then I'll get the value of the list here, right? Now, what does that exactly tell us though? Like why is that like important is the key here. I think the use of while loop is better for temporary performance. As I said, the function doesn't return anything. Yeah, exactly. Um, can you do another print statement immediately after S1 is initialized? Um, like here, print S1, right here. So I print S1, I get that there. Now if I place my return here, because this is just how the book taught us to set this up. It taught us to return on these statements. So that's why I didn't learn this part yet. So that gives us none. So if I print S1 rather than printing test, and I call the del here, we get the empty array. Okay. So you can just return. What is a return with nothing being returned? Is this returning none? What is being returned right here? Is my question. Is none being returned? Usually these types of functions in computer science return nothing or true, and your question doesn't say return. Okay. So yeah, that's a good point. Is that our question actually doesn't say to return the stack anything. It just says remove all the elements from the stack. Now you can kind of infer that maybe you can return it if you want to provide that back in certain contexts, but in a general sense, we're just modifying the stack, and then we can actually print the stack in place here after we call a del on it. Is none. Okay, so none is being returned here. So if none is being returned here, I'm confused as to where the array is coming from. So if we return none, that means that this value here is being returned as none. So if we okay, we're gonna move it. We're gonna pop off the 5. We're gonna pop off the 4, the 3, the 2, and the 1. Now we return none, and then we print S1 because everything was just popped off. Okay, so by returning none, we can then just print the actual array or stack in this case, and you will see that it's modified in memory. Okay, I follow you. We're returning none because our objective, right? Our objective of removing all the elements is done. Like we're done. We can return none because if we go ahead and print the current array, right, it'll have no elements in it, right? Our job here is done. We can return none. Got you. I think the return leaves the entire function and does not touch any lines underneath. Yeah, it just returns none, meaning that we are completely done with our objective of this function, and we can just be done. No modifications in memory anymore, nothing. And then if you want to just call a print on this, you can see the directly modified array in memory. Exactly, I said it breaks the loop. Perfect. Awesome. Thank you so much for that breakdown, you guys. That is sweet. So we can just call a return of none here rather than returning the stack, and then just rather than returning the del stack as well, we don't have to make any statement here. So we're just directly modifying. Ah, interesting. All right, let's try this last one here. All right. Implement a function that reverses a list of elements by pushing them onto a stack in one order and writing them back to the list in the reversed order. So let's think here. I'm going to pull up my whiteboard. Whiteboard. Okay. So if we have some array, right? Some array A or some stack. So we have a list. We have a list which is equal to some values of 1, we'll say 2. I'm doing this with my hand on the trackpad, so I'm sorry if it's slow. 4 and 5, right? So we have some list 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. We then want to push them onto a stack in one order and write them back to the list in reversed order. So if we pop off, we'll pop the 5 and push it onto a stack. So our stack then will look like, our stack will be this, and 5 will be at the bottom of our stack. If we pop 4, 4 will come to the bottom, the next position in our stack. Okay, then 3, then 2, then 1, right? And then we need to pop off of the stack and append back into our list. No, because that will be in the same order. Mahan asks, do we know time complexity? Yeah, so in chapter 3, we went over time complexity for the 7 functions used in algorithms: constant, logarithm, linear, n log n, quadratic, cubic, and exponential. We talked about asymptotic analysis for big O, big omega, and big theta, and everything like that. So if we were to try to define the time complexity of this recursive function, well, let's think about this. We are doing a constant check here on length. We're returning none. We're doing a pop, which removes the last method, so that's in place as well. So essentially, I believe that this will run in constant time because we are just popping elements off one by one. Now, we are popping n elements, though. So will this run in linear time because of that? Each individual pop is happening, but we are popping n elements, so it might run in linear time here. What do you think about that, Mahan? How is that thinking? Right? The individual pop is a constant time operation, but we are popping n times. So this would be a linear time complexity. Big O of n. Okay, so if we had this same dilemma earlier, just like Ronaldo. Thank you so much for that. So yesterday we had this kind of situation, this hypothetical come up where I was like, well, what if we wanted to reverse and we needed to use stacks, right? So we would need to use 2 stacks. So we have stack 1 and we have stack 2, right? So we're going to take 5 and we're going to put it on stack 1. So we're going to pop off on the list and put 5 on stack 1. We're going to take 4 and pop it off and put it on stack 2, right? We're going to pop off 3 and put it on stack 1. And 2 goes on stack 2. And then 1 goes on stack 3. We are then going to append back onto the list in the order of... No, because that'll just unfold again. Mohammed says, I'm learning full stack and I still don't get it. Well, feel free to join the channel. We'll be getting there eventually. Come 2025, in just a few days, Harvard CS50 is going to release their revised version of their CS50X course, which is a more general computer science full stack course. And so we're going to be going over and completing that as a channel. So follow along to the channel. Join the Discord below where I'm going to be setting up a thread within that selected channel for our CS50X. You'll see when you join, and it'll just be describing some details about when we're going to do it, like a watch party, everything, where we're going to complete it. And so if we're going to be completing it, you might as well follow along and submit the solutions as well and get your certificate too. Yeah, so yeah, this function is inefficient, but I think its just main purpose is to get us practice and knowledge with stacks and stuff. So yeah, okay, so we need to pop, but at this point we can only remove the recent most elements. Mm. So that takes 5 and puts it here. That takes 4 and puts it here. I mean, we could insert, right? We could use an insert method at index 0, but that just causes even more inefficiencies. So I don't think that that's the correct approach. LSSL. Think about this hint. LOL. I'm not sure what you mean, Mahan. Okay, so let's go back. So if we have some list here with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and we have 2 stacks, we can take the 5. Well, we need the 5 to be the very first item that's accessed, right? Use one stack at a time. Okay, let's try that. So let's take the 5 and we'll put it on stack 1. Let's take the 4 and put it on stack 1. Let's take the 3 and put it on stack 1, the 2, and the 1. Let's take the 1, put it on stack 2. So this becomes 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And now we can take these values and append them. Ah, okay, okay, okay. I got you. Okay, let's do this. I'm feeling it. Here we go. Okay, so we need to, let's just set up a list here of our values, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. We're going to take some function def reverse stack, and it's going to take in some stack s, or some reverse list. And it's going to take in some list right here, right? And this will be L1. So if we reverse the list of L, we're going to say, we're going to need to set up a stack 1. S1 is equal to an empty array. We're going to say for value in the list, we are going to val dot append, or sorry, S1 dot append the value, right? We're gonna push the value onto this stack. We are then gonna say we're gonna establish an S2 stack. We're gonna then say as well for value in S1, we're going to val dot, or we're gonna go to S2 dot append val. And then we're going to say for value in S2, we're going to, we need to pop the values off S2. So this is actually not append here. This is, sorry, pop. Not the val. We're just going to pop, have that be captured as a value. And we're going to say, we're not going to use the value here for that, S1 pop. This is going to be captured as, and we're going to say S2 dot append the popped value, right? We're going to append that popped value, and then for every value, for every whatever in S2, we're going to go back to our list, dot append append the S2 dot pop, like so. So what's happening here is we are, for every value in our list, we are going to take that value one by one and append it. So no, we don't want to append, we want to pop. We want to take the last value. So we're going to say for underscore dot pop, not the value. We're just going to pop all of those values in the list, sorry. And then we're going to save this as S1 dot append the pop. Okay, so we're going to pop the 5 and we're going to append it onto S1 or push it on. We're then going to do the same thing but to why is our pop not highlighted here? A C++ channel. Yeah, yeah, Christy, for sure I will add a C++ channel. Okay, so we're going to pop off the values of the L and append them into S1. We're then going to pop out the values of S1 and append them to S2, and then we're going to pop out the values of S2 and append them to L. So now if I call print and then we're going to say here return L, print reverse list for L underscore 1. Okay, we got something going on here. So while L, we're going to do that. We're going to say while S1, and then we're going to say while S2. That reverses the list. So I know that you guys had coached me through why those for loops weren't working, but I'm not really understanding why weren't we iterating through every value? Why was it only iterating through some values and giving us 1, 2, and 4? Oh, it's because when we pop the the index or the size dynamically changes of our array, right? So as we pop elements off, the array will then shift on the next iteration through the for loop. So we need to use while instead to just make a general blanket statement that then ensures that, okay, while this fact is not true, you perform these actions until this becomes true. So we don't want to loop over and iterate over values in the list and the arrays because as we pop, they dynamically shift and become smaller. Okay, like Mahan says, please remember you can't access stack elements with type of for loop. So if we went back to our stack class that they showed us here, we will probably see something similar that they aren't iterating at all, right? So if we do like, right, um, or here, where was it? This is stack, array stack. So yeah, they use the is empty function, which returns a Boolean. They never loop over to determine if the value of the stack is empty or not. They don't iterate over it. They have a method applied in this collections module for is empty of the stack. Being ESL, I didn't explain it. No, no, it's all good. Your English was a little bit scattered in the definition you explained, but I put it together. Thank you so much. I appreciate you so much for that. This definitely helped a lot. So I need to use while loops, right? Because if I'm iterating over and popping, you know, I'm dynamically changing the size of the array at each iteration, and so my iterations aren't consistent across each one. No, I really appreciate you though. Thank you for your help. All right. All right, you guys. So we just did 5 practice problems of DSA and Python end of chapter 6 here. Um, like I said earlier, I am visiting my parents for the holiday break. I'm not at my desk back in the Bay Area where I can, really grind, and I want to spend some time with my family here. I just tried to take an hour and a half these next couple of days just to keep the streak alive, to keep the juices flowing, to keep these concepts solidified and keep leveling up. But when we get back home, I will be continuing the 2 hour and a half, 3 hour long streams daily, learning this material and interacting with you guys. But I appreciate you guys joining me this evening. We streamed for, let's look here. We were live for an hour and 41 minutes, so a good stream for being on vacation here and on the holidays. I thank you guys for joining me. Please join the Discord down below so we can chat offline, get access to all my resources that I'm using to learn and teach myself. I also am providing other resources that help, like Christy recommended and asked to add a C++ channel, so I'll go ahead and do that. And, other people we have like people that have been following along that are in CS majors, such as like Mike P. Funk. He provided his entire, collegiate notes that he took in the Python community chat. He made a custom thread. So people are really, enjoying this conglomeration of resources and just general knowledge in one central location. And so we're really starting to get this going, and it's really awesome. And so you can check out Mike P. Funk's, his personal resources he used while he was in college. Oh, we did four. One, two, three, four. No, we did five. One, two, three, four, five. I think you just joined a little late. We did this one earlier. We did 6.1 through 6.5. This one was really easy though. This one just wanted us to show like the process throughout these different functions, right? So yes, join the Discord also in 2025. In a couple of days, CS50 is going to be relaunching their X course, their full stack course, more CS general knowledge. We are going to be taking that and diving into more in-depth computer science topics and getting more knowledge on front-end applications and things like that. So join the Discord where I'm going to set up like a watch party where we can, I'll give the announcements for when I'm going live for those specific streams regarding that. And but you haven't finished 5. I didn't finish this one. I thought I finished this one. This one is in reverse order. It's done. Oh, the right way. Yeah, so this is a this was an extremely inefficient way of doing this. They showed a reverse method up here earlier in the text. Let me see if I can try to find it. Um, the Q is matched. So they have this reverse file here um, for a stack here. So they say, they open the file name for line, they push the file to the stack, and then they close it. And then they say, while not empty, they write and pop. And then they do some sort of thing here as well for a reverse. All right. All right, yeah, if you guys enjoyed, please throw the stream a like. It's been really great having you guys. Thank you so much for interacting with me today. I'll be back tomorrow for another similar stream where we will dive into some more practice problems. I also, and in my streams, we work on our projects. I implement and am doing projects. So this is a project we've been writing live on stream so far. This is the small business manager project, so we have a lot of functions and stuff set up here. I'll do just a quick demo of what we have so far for this project. So this is 1.0. Would you like to open the small business manager? Yes. These are the current items we have in our system here. We can go ahead and inventory. We can add additional items, make a new name, $10, item size is medium, today's date, quantity of, let's say we have two of them. Those got populated and saved into our file live right in front of us. We can go into the inventory menu, find and edit item numbers. We can pull up item number 8. As you can see, we got that live displayed to us. We can, override these parameters with new name, test. And as you can see, if I press 6 here, you'll see that will change to new name test, and it was just saved right there. So we have all this going, and then I believe a couple days ago we were working on the transactions menu where we convert menu items into transactions, so we can convert item number 8 into a for sale item. So we actually need to implement that further, but we implemented a check to make sure that it is not in the correct status. So if I go ahead and run that same program, transactions, transact item for sale, we'll do item number, if I right? Item number 6 technically has a true Boolean for the date listed, which means it's a for sale item. So if I pull up item number 6 here, we get that this is already being detected as a converted item to for sale. So we are, managing these items really cool, and we have a program that will be able to take in these items, take in expenses, calculate income statements, cost reports, expense reports, all that kind of stuff for general small business needs and business needs and stuff. So it's going to be a really cool project when we finish. We're just working on this little by little. Again, I'll have more time, after the holiday break when I get back home. I am visiting my folks here in their guest bedroom, so I don't have a ton of time to. Um, I don't have a ton of time at the moment because I am visiting my family. But um, Wing Hong says, "Wait, it says dot push, but I was using the dot append." Yeah, so the dot Wing Hong, the dot push method is the same as the dot append method in Python, per se. The push method is implemented into like that collections for actually creating a stack. We just use the append method to mimic that with using lists, right? In Python. Yeah, exactly as Mahan said, Python doesn't have stacks unless you use a module from the collections and import the stack module. But we just use the append method to mimic that kind of behavior that a stack would have. Now, of course, we have to treat it as such, and we can't, iterate through and pull things from insert at zeros and things like that. That's not what stacks are for and stuff. Yeah, so you would have to you can either, create your own class. They showed you like the writing for actually the array stack class. So let's see if I can pull that up. This is their implementation of the array stack class. But if you can obviously import this a similar makeup from the collections module, I believe. Um, All right. Hunter Lai, thanks so much for coming. And do you plan to go full time with CS? I'm not sure. I'm currently working as a chemist. I have a degree that I paid for in chemistry and biology, so I'd like to get some use out of it if I can. If I can intertwine CS and biology into something, that would be fantastic. But I'm not opposed to any sort of open door. I'm always willing to take in opportunities as they come. I'm never gonna close myself off to something. So, did they explain why they use the underscore data instead of data? Yeah, they mentioned, so when we have classes that have pre prefix of an underscore, it's just to denote that instance variable is not accessible or is not supposed to be accessible to the user, right? So if someone were to import this class and they should never try to override these variables customarily, right? Uh, is that what I think that's what that means? Yes, 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 yeah. So if an instance variable within a class is prefixed with a an underscore, it's just kind of a mental note to whoever's importing that this variable should not be called and directly overridden by the user in their program. Yeah, I've been exactly, Mahana. I've been putting in a lot of hours studying this line by. Like I said, I read this book. I've been reading. I read Python Crash Course line by line, word by word, live. Did all the problems live on stream. I did CS50P. That was before I created the channel. But I'm really trying to get this material down and understand it all. And I'm really trying to solidify it here. So if this is something you guys are interested in and are enjoying, please follow along. I love having you guys here and interacting with you guys every day. I stream every day, or at least try my best to. We've been on a streak, so that's got that for us. But anyways, I am gonna call it today. I'm gonna spend some time with these holiday, next couple holidays. I'm gonna spend the next couple of hours just hanging out with my family on the holiday break. But I'll be back tomorrow for another hour and a half and we'll continue on and maybe work on the project tomorrow a little bit. But thank you guys so much for joining me this evening. I appreciate you guys. You guys stay safe. Happy holidays. I'll see you guys tomorrow. Join the Discord.